Hi everyone, this is Sousanna Pogosyan and welcome to the Basement Tapes. I really am a curious cat, so this is where we're gonna explore new ideas, talk about any issues, talk about life really, and where your faith takes you, whether you have faith or you don't have faith. I hope you come here with an open mind and you enjoy this episode. Welcome back everyone, welcome back to the Basement Tapes. Today, my guest, Mary Basmadjian, is an Armenian American stand-up comedian, actor, writer, and producer. She has been a fixture of the Los Angeles comedy circuit for 10 years and recently rose to fame with her super funny, accurate reflection of the Armenian diaspora subculture. Her nuanced approach articulates the immigrant experience in a way that transcends cultural barriers. What an intro. Mary, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
How are you feeling today?
I've had better days, but I'm here with you now and I'm feeling much better. Thank you.
Well, I hope you're here to have a little bit of fun.
I am.
Thank you so much for even showing up. And I know sometimes we don't feel 100%, but
we got to do it.
You're giving your all.
Got to do it, yeah.
I want to jump into my first question to you.
Sure, yeah.
And my first question is, what got you into comedy?
I got into comedy about 14 years ago. I was at the Ice House enjoying a show, and then after the show, they were giving out flyers. There was a comedy class there given by Bobby Oliver, who is still my friend, and I still take classes from her, like writing groups and stuff. That's how I kind of got into it, but I've always liked telling stories. And even like in high school, I would take the public transportation. I would take the bus to school, and I would see all kinds of characters and people on the bus, and then I would talk about it when I would get to school. So I kind of like naturally, I like telling stories. And I would even do it at parties too. Like I would talk about funny stuff, and it would be me telling stories. And then my friends were like, oh, you should try stand-up. And then I went to my very first show at the Ice House in Pasadena, and that's when I saw the flyer. And it was 2010, I believe, yeah.
Were you nervous going into it?
I was.
Or you just didn't think about it and jumped into it?
No, I was really nervous. But I also, and it's probably because I'm a Leo, but I like attention.
That makes sense.
I was like, oh yeah, I would like to be on stage. And I was on stage for a little bit as a kid when my grandparents and dad were in an improv group. They were in like a comedy play group.
No way.
And sometimes they needed extras, like kids.
So it runs in the family.
I think so. Yeah. I would, I don't know how to say it in English, like papiki stanazner neyanum, like whatever he does, I would do it as a kid.
Your grandfather's, like you would mimic your grandfather.
Yeah, I would mimic, and my grandma would just laugh so much. And from a young age, I was like, oh, I like making people laugh. That's a good feeling that I feel inside. And usually, until now, I've been doing comedy for I'm still nervous. I'm nervous before every single show until I'm on stage and I grab the microphone, and then it just goes away. And I get into this weird zone of like, I'm comfortable and I love this and I love what I'm doing, but I'm always nervous.
You jump into character.
I do.
My mom is obsessed with you. We went to your last show.
Yes, that was so awesome. Thank you for coming.
And anytime she sees you on the lineup or hears about it, she's like, I have to go. And she called me. She's like, can you make it? I'm like, let me check. She's like, if you can't, she's like, I'm going by myself. She's like, I love Mary.
That's so awesome.
And the entire time she's heckling in the back, and I'm like, okay, mom, like, I get it. Like the entire time, every moment. And that's the true, like, form of joy that you're spreading around the world. And that's I guess that's what you're talking about as far as it's rewarding to you.
It is. It's that's one of the more rewarding things about comedy, is making someone feel really good or happy even on really dark days, which I think happened a lot, like during COVID days. That's what I keep hearing from people. Oh, you kept me going through COVID. You kept me through. And I'm so happy and grateful to hear that and to be a part of that I could do that.
What about comedy within the Armenian community? Have you faced like any challenges? What are, like, not even in the community, but overall, what are like the major challenges that you've come across as a female comic? And I hate saying that.
the usual things that I think in other departments that females might experience. Pay gap is a big thing, and being taken seriously. Like, I know I'm a comedian, but if you're hiring me to do an event or something like that, I try to come and approach it in a very professional manner. And sometimes people might not, they thought like, oh, it was all funny, until I sit down and I start talking.
Talk about numbers.
Oh.
Talk about business.
Yeah. Just some of that. And then, the usual naysayers. I think with anything that you do, people are going to talk regardless. And, just like with anything that you put on social media, you have to be ready and available for the other side of things.
Is it common within the comedy circuit to talk about the pay? Because
the pay or pain?
Both.
I mean, just regular businesses, like business doing, like if
is it transparent amongst people, or do they keep it to themselves?
They keep it to themselves,
and that's the difficult part, right?
Yeah. So I don't like to talk about it too much. I just do my thing, and it is what it is. Sometimes you can tell when you're being snubbed, and you're being disrespected, but it is what it is.
What inspired you in the beginning, and has your inspiration changed over the years for comedy?
Yeah. The beginning, because I was raised with by my grandparents, and I just always wanted to show the side of an Armenian culture and family without the restrictions that most Armenian women would face. Like, hey, I don't like that video, take it down. I don't have anyone in my life to tell me that. Like, I'm talking family. I'm sure other people, you take the video, it happens. But in my family, there's nobody like that, where like, take that down, or there was no restrictions, and I'm so grateful for that. So I was raised in a non-traditional family.
Yeah.
And I try to use that to my advantage as much as possible. So that's one thing, is I just wanted to show everybody what Armenian was. I wanted to do, I think I said this last time, like I wanted to do what George Lopez did for the Hispanic community.
That's right.
For the Armenian community, as much as I can. And hopefully that will happen.
That will happen. You're working towards it every step of the way, every show that you do, every content that you create, every special that you have. Speaking of specials,
I do have a special coming out.
Let's talk about your special. What's that about?
It's called Funny Armenian Girl. It is produced by Comedy Dynamics. It comes out February 20th on Apple TV, Amazon, Dish. You can purchase it everywhere. And then the audio version of it comes out on the 23rd on Sirius XM. What? I think it's serious. I don't know. If it isn't, I'm putting it out in the ether. It's going to happen.
Hey, there you go. And what is it, just you, or is it a lineup of people?
It's just me. And I do stand up, and then at the very end, I couldn't do it without Vartush, so I bring Vartush Tota into it. And I think it's something different that non-Armenian communities or people just haven't really seen, or maybe they have seen. I'm not the only one to do character, but I feel like in today's day and age of comedy specials, the comedian usually doesn't change into a character. I haven't seen it, at least. So I'm trying to, like, there are I know there are very famous drag queens that do comedy, like Jinx and Bob. They also have a Comedy Dynamics special as well, so they might have switched, but I haven't really noticed it on the bigger front of things, of like character and stand-up.
During stand-up, no one is coming to my mind. Variety shows, like Saturday Night Live, where you have the comedians play different characters, but while I'm thinking about it, no, that hasn't been done.
Yeah, so for this one, I wanted to bring Vartush in, and I'm really happy. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to the release date, and I'm just happy to see what comes of it.
Major congratulations. That's huge.
Thank you.
February 20th, everyone. Apple TV and other streaming services.
Amazon Prime,
Amazon
TV,
Prime,
Dish, anywhere, like you can
write this down. Do not forget. Put it in your calendar. Put an alert on.
Which Apple TV also it's going to show in Armenia as well, so people in Armenia will be able to watch it as well.
That's beautiful.
And I'm so happy and excited about that.
How did that opportunity land in your lap?
they emailed me. I guess they were like scoping out people online, or they came across my page and they reached out to me, asked a couple questions if I was like interested in doing it and how long I've been doing and all that good stuff. And I think they discovered my page. So that's why like social media is like, it's a double-edged sword. It could be really awesome and open up a lot of great doors and opportunities for people. And then of course, you know, you have the downside of it too. And I think it's with anything in life, you know, but it was on social media. Yeah.
What, back to the question where I said your inspiration, right? So you have this big special that comes to you. All of a sudden, what goes through your mind? Are you creating new material? Are you, pressed on being inspired again? What does that process look like for you when you are creating your jokes?
Yeah. There's a lot of like newer stuff in the special. I wanted to, and a lot of like my older stuff as well that I felt like was relevant and it would really represent me as a person. And, you know, the first thing that I really thought about when I got the special opportunity was, oh my God, like I have to make people proud. Like I have to make the Armenians proud. I have to make sure that Armenians like it. But then, you know, of course you can't please everybody. That's not a realistic way of looking at it. But the pressure was on.
Yeah.
I was like, this is going to be called Funny Armenian Girl. You better
be funny. You better be funny.
Yeah. So like that's where it came from. And then I have like a lot of new stuff too that I added to it. And I think it was a really awesome process. I mean, I was crying every day, you know.
That's normal.
Yeah, that's normal. And then like a week before taping, everything just came together so beautifully.
It flowed.
The flow, exactly. The flow of jokes. I wasn't getting it. Something wasn't clicking. And then the last week, I was like, oh my God, this is what I need to do. And that was a great feeling.
It was meant to be.
Yeah.
You like prepared yourself.
As best as I could.
And the opportunity rose, and that's not like people say, oh, that person must be so lucky, but there's a lot of hard work that goes behind it. Yeah. And the timing just happens. You can't even control that. Right.
Exactly. And there have been other opportunities that I think I've passed on because I was like, I'm not ready for this yet. I'm not ready for this. And then this one too, I was about to be like, I'm not ready for this. And then
you are.
Someone in my head was like, you better do this. So I was like, okay, someone in my head. People are like, this is crazy.
No, that's to me, when I hear that, that's divine intervention. That's like.
And you're never ready, right? Like you're ready when you're doing it and you're like, oh, okay, I got this. I've done this, you know, but technically you're never ready for any of these like big moments, I think.
You'll have doubt and fear knocking at your door and you have to not open that door.
Constantly, bro. I got a padlock on that door.
So your inspiration has it evolved as you've done comedy, and have you noticed a theme within it?
It has in its way. It still has its similar thing of like, you know, introducing Armenians to others and bringing my culture and everything to others so people can know who Armenians are, know what Armenia is, and, you know, maybe learn through my comedy. But also I feel like now I'm even more so inspired to be mouthpiece and to be speaking on things that is otherwise kind of taboo in our community.
Like what's an example?
You're really gonna make
at your show, right? A lot of the topics that come up about, people feel shame around it.
100%.
There's a lot of shame and guilt, and depending on the generation, they're not ready for it, and how open you are.
But look how ready they were that night. Do you remember the guy?
That was that was a great audience.
When the host got in the guy's face, I was like, oh my God, that poor man. And then when I got up there and I was like, are you okay? They loved it. Sus, they love it. The lady came up to me.
They were not expecting that.
They weren't. And it was very
vulgar. Super vulgar.
Very. But like afterwards, It's almost like when you're going through a crazy trip and you're like, I'm going to be so much better for this at the end of this.
I'm going to learn a lot
Yeah.
from this. What the entire time I was just thinking, what is Mary thinking?
Oh my God.
I wish we could say the joke here, but we really can't.
Yeah,
It's so inappropriate.
It is. But the whole time I was thinking, we finally got our Armenian men to do that. Why are you ruining it for us now? But also I was like, oh my God, I really hope that man is okay.
I think he was fine. Did he have someone?
Totally
did he have his wife sitting next to him?
Yeah. His wife.
They were all great.
Maserati.
Yeah.
You know.
He was.
His wife had so much fun. It was two neighbors, you know, two couples, two neighbors. They had so much fun.
Oh my gosh.
I think like they really liked that the comedians were giving them attention. At first the lady even said, I was too scared to sit in the front, and then they did. And you know, I do think a lot of our older Armenians are ready for some of these taboos. It's just someone has to bring it up.
Yeah.
And I think that someone is my shows.
Yeah, you and other Armenian comics.
Yeah.
That are out there and doing that and being very in their face to the audience.
Yeah, and that's initially like back in, was it 2013 or 2012?
Almost 10 years, 12 years ago.
So about that time ago, I had posted something like, I don't know, it was like Armenians doing fraud or something, and they got caught, and I had posted about it, and I got all these comments like, you know, you're showcasing Armenians in a bad light, and it was like, no, it's not about that. Sometimes we have to take a long look at some of these dark moments of our culture and be like, hey, what's wrong? What's happening? And I made a video, I remember, I don't know if it's still there, it probably is, Facebook keeps everything, but I was like, I'm the mirror and I'm holding it to you. We got to see what we need to and I still agree to that, you know. That's a part of that inspiration too, of like, why do I want to take the bumpy, scary road to comedy? Because I am ruffling a lot of feathers. There are a lot of people out there do not like me, which is fine. You know, everybody to each their own.
It comes with the territory.
Absolutely. And like I said before, you know, social media, if you're posting something, you have to be ready for both things. You can't just be like, oh, everybody's going to love me. No.
A lot of the greatest comics, if you look at their material, it's really out there.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the beauty about comedy. You take what's real and what's raw and you put a spin on it and you laugh about it.
Right. Exactly.
Because what's life without laughter, Mary?
Yup.
You tell me.
Yep. Depression, baby.
Who's your biggest comic that you look up to, or when you were growing up, or even currently?
You know, when I first started comedy, and everybody, like, I would hear that question a lot, and I would hear what other comedians would say. And I personally didn't know a lot of stand-up before I got into stand-up. I knew some. And the ones that I knew was Cat Williams. That was my comedian. He is so funny in the way that he, like, does the act outs and everything. To me, it was Cat Williams always, and Pablo Francisco back in the day. I haven't seen his set in a long time, but Pablo Francisco, Cat Williams, and a lot of times, unfortunately, I didn't know a lot of like female comics. I learned about them later on, and I was like, oh, this is cool. But even now, I can't really. I think Cat Williams is like.
Your type of style. Yeah. Everyone has a style that you could embed.
And then, you know, the Armenian sketch comedy that I grew up on, like Merbaka, Ted, like the Lenakan Lenakansi guys. That was we had the tapes. What is it? Don's, Ted's. There was another one. But, you know, they also played like some female roles in their sketches. Those were the ones I really liked.
I love how some of them are being reposted on Instagram now.
Are they?
Yeah.
Of course, they're
little
like
clips.
rehashing. Yeah, they're rehashing clips and stuff. Makes sense. Merbak was my favorite. I mean,
that was huge.
Right?
At the time.
Thank you.
It was huge at the time.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was like during the later like 90s and early 2000s, it was like Demk Show when they were coming out with their
Yes.
cassette.
Demk, and I don't remember the Lena Gansi.
Their names, I don't either.
Yeah, unfortunately. But them, and then Ashot Khazarian.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah. So like that was more of the comedy that I had seen and grown up on versus stand up.
Have you noticed the Armenian younger generation from Armenia posting and then creating these characters and doing comedy and those funny bits? It's
I've
like this
seen
small
some.
group.
No, do they have a name? Like, is there a
No,
name,
but I
or
wish they all came together and created something.
Nice. No, I've seen like some clips here and there. I know, what's his name?
Is it Ashot?
No, Biza. It's Biza something. Like, he's a little bit young. I don't think he's that young anymore. I don't know how old he is, but he does like funny stuff too. He does funny sketches. And then there's this one person. He's tatted up and he's so funny though. Like, he talks about cars a lot, I think. But he's tatted up. He looks like he's a gangster, honestly.
Is he the one that was in America and then was deported to Armenia?
Girl, maybe. He looked like it. I don't know. But he has like tattoos on his face and stuff. Like, and he does like funny videos. And I genuinely, it killed me when I watched those videos.
I'm thinking if it's the same person.
I think it's like a car page or something. Like, I think he works for a car. I don't know. But sometimes I see
Is it
those.
fresh? He goes, something is fresh. Whatever. I don't know. There's like a few people that pop up.
Much. That's another thing with the social media is like it's so condensed with that kind of content, which I'm happy. Like, this generation is able to pick up the phone and do that. Like, yeah, it started around my time a little bit, but it wasn't obviously where it's at now with like TikTok and everything. Are you doing TikTok?
I'm trying. It's
a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah. In addition to I'm barely keeping up with Instagram. Yeah. I'll go through phases.
What's your app?
Instagram.
Yeah. Do you go on Facebook much?
Once in the blue moon.
Yeah, to check people's birthdays.
Yeah.
That's what I
exactly. To double check if I'm right on the birthday.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes I'll pop in and be like, whose birthday did I miss?
Yeah.
Whose birthday is it?
It's a good calendar. It's a birthday. Facebook has turned into my birthday calendar. But no, it's a lot. There's like, I don't know if you posting often. Do you ever come across like a time where you're just not feeling it but it's part of your job, so you have to?
Every single time. Yes, I do. It does come to that. And there are times where I don't post for a minute. Like, it'll be 2 weeks or a week that I don't post. And that's not good. And I understand it's not good for my business and for my career and everything else. But sometimes if I just don't feel like it, I don't feel like it. I don't stress on it too much like that. I don't push on it. I don't count likes. I don't count none of that. I mean, I do notice sometimes when like counts go down or up and I'm like, what the heck is going on?
It's the algorithm.
It is.
It changes.
Yeah. But I don't post. If I don't post, I don't feel too bad.
Let's get a little deeper as far as your comedy goes. Has there been a dark time where your career has saved you? Or are there moments in life where you look back and you're so thankful for what has been your God-given talent because this is something that you were born with?
Yeah, for sure. I'm very grateful every day for this career and the social media aspect of it as well. Funny enough is when I first started going viral on Instagram, I believe it was 2015, 2016-ish, 2014, 2015, like that. That's when like the new 15-second videos were coming out. Vine was still around.
Yes, Vine.
Like, yeah.
The golden age.
I know.
So many people came out of Vine.
Yeah. Around that time, I was going through an extremely difficult time. And several years prior to that, I experienced something really traumatic that I think if any 20-year-old was to sit down and tell me this is what they experienced, I would have been so shocked. But I went through it and I survived it. Around that time that I went viral and everything, which ironically I went viral because Armo Moms Be Like.
I remember.
those. Yeah. That's around the time I actually became estranged from my own mother. And I haven't seen her, spoken to her. So it's been like a really rough situation on that end.
Mm-hmm.
But that's literally around the time I started going viral. Like career was going up, up, up. And then family was like not in a good place.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very weird emotional things going on in my head. And then like going everywhere in Glendale and Burbank and being recognized for a character around the same time that I was experiencing that. It was a very weird contrast. It was very weird, but also I'm so grateful, and I try to look to that as much as I can.
It brought it like it's definitely not balanced, but it was like a seesaw where you're seesawing right and left in order to just continue. And I think I always say this, like the reason why I love people sharing kind of their most vulnerable moments is to show people that whatever they're going through, they're not alone. They're not alone. And it's the timing is also interesting.
Yeah.
How that happened.
Yeah.
In hindsight, what do you think what do you think of that?
That was me subconsciously creating a mother figure that I needed. Straight up. That was where Vartush came from. I needed a mother figure, like an approving mother figure. And I literally created a character.
Wow. And she's around.
Yeah.
And and you bring her out.
Yeah. And I didn't even come to that realization until very recently. Because when you go through traumatic experiences, you don't keep a track of timeline.
No.
Until recently for therapy, I had to do like a timeline of when this happened, and then I looked at it and I was like, oh, Vartush came in when mom left. It was crazy.
Your therapist is good.
Oh, yeah, he is. He really is.
Highly recommend therapy for everyone.
100%. Yeah.
There's a lot of things that you discover through your conversations.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing that I think we're slowly coming to coming around where people are comfortable with therapy.
Yeah, and it's going to take some time, and it's not just Armenians. A lot of immigrant communities are like that. But I feel like Armenians are doing so well right now. I think we are coming to terms with like, hey, we do need to talk to a professional. We need to talk to someone, and like having calm conversations versus turbulent arguments is such a big come up for our community. I think
100%.
Yeah, I think our generation of people are more prone to just, hey, let's calmly talk about this versus I think what we witnessed as kids.
Being aware of your tone.
Oh, 100%.
And deprogramming yourself.
That deprogramming.
Word of it's like the word of the last year or two.
Yeah. It's important, and just like you said earlier, talking about things that other people are going through but don't want to talk about it publicly and openly. I think it's important, and it does make people not feel like they're alone, because that's one of the most like hard feelings to process is alone, like being alone, being isolated with these really big things going on that you don't know how to deal with or comprehend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes time. It's a process.
And comedy helps a lot. So that's what
laughter is medicine. I mean, every time I feel like, I'm not in like the best place and I'll be talking to someone about it, recently it's been recommended. They're like, you should go watch like some comedy, or you should go laugh a little bit. Go
to therapy.
I'll be honest, I did that for like 2 years and then I was like, I think I'm good.
Okay. And then you weren't?
No, I think I think I processed a lot, and I realized
nice
a lot.
That's good.
Lifelong therapy is just not for me. There's people that are totally for it.
Yeah.
But there's only so much you could talk about of the same thing over and over again.
Sometimes I feel like that too. I totally feel you. Yeah. But then like when I feel like that, and then I'll bring up some stuff that I'm like, oh, it's whatever. And then it turns out, no, it's not whatever. It's actually a really big deal that I've been thinking it's whatever.
Maybe I'm so like result oriented of like, okay, we're doing this. Like, let's get to the point. Let's like fix this. Like you're fixing like a faucet, but it's not like that.
I mean, I thought I was going to do that with this therapy too, honestly. I'm open with it. I'm in eating disorder therapy. And I was like, oh, I'm in 1 year, I'm going to be like those Jenny Craig commercials. People lose weight, and it is not that. It is not. No.
It's a lot more.
Deeper. Yeah, it's a lot deeper.
Who gave you the toughest time when you were going into comedy?
Honestly, everybody was very supportive, and I'm so happy about that. People were even the friends like I'm not really friends with anymore, they supported me and they encouraged me to do comedy and to get into it, because they're like, you tell stories, so they were like, yeah, you should do it. The only like maybe not even bad thing or just criticism or critical thing was like random people that I didn't really know that well were like, oh, you're not that funny. I don't find you funny. And I was like, okay, cool.
You're not funny.
Well, younger Mary did say that. But it's like, you're like, okay, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. It's okay,
What's your advice to younger like females that want to go into comedy?
Just be firm. Communicate exactly what you want and what you need. Don't be afraid to communicate what you need and what your needs are. And be firm about it. Set boundaries. I think like if you come at it like that, people are going to respect in a different way, and they're going to know not to mess with you. And also just be very careful. Look, I started stand-up not in like the Armenian realm, but in the American world. I was doing open mics at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. You need to be careful, and you need to have people to go with you, or like another comedian to go with you. Go to safe places and go to supportive mics and supportive shows. Sometimes those shows are just not going to be at the Comedy Store. I'm sorry. I go to female mics. There's like all female mics now. And like, that's very safe. That wasn't there when I started.
No, that's new.
Yeah.
So the last few years.
So I think it's great. We have a place to go. We could feel safe. We can talk about things that we feel like we might not be able to talk about in other open mics or whatever. My number one rule to like just safety, be firm, communicate, and set boundaries.
And as far as like the creative process?
As far as creative process, just live. Don't isolate. Because for me personally, when I isolate, I'm not able to create that much. So go out there, experience life, and just write whatever happens to you or anything that comes up for you. I always like jot notes down in my phone and then like take it to my notebook and write it out a little bit more of like what the joke is.
Mary, one last thing. What do you want to share with your audience as far as whatever like your heart is set on right now? Is there anything that you want to like share with them, those who have been following you from the beginning, new followers? Like, do you have any advice for them?
I just want to share that I love and appreciate all of them very much. I may not know them personally and they don't know me personally, but I feel the love and I'm so grateful. I also think like this world is really hard, and it's really hard to be human. Just be nice, be nice to yourself, be nice to others. Important thing, be nice to yourself. The world is already really mean to you. The last person you need to be mean to you is you. Be nice to yourself and be gentle. I don't know. Is that woo-woo to you?
Woo-woo, wee-wee. No, you're absolutely right. There's a constant theme where I don't know what's going on with the planets. No,
girl.
But a lot of the conversations that I'm hearing recently, and it's very new, is, or maybe it's our age range, of people saying you got to be a lot kinder to yourself. Or is that like a female experience? But
maybe we're just evolving.
Are we?
Maybe.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think we're just evolving and realizing that, quote, tough talk is just not, why be mean to I don't know. I'm still mean to myself. I say really mean things to myself all the time, and it's not effective.
What do you do to get out of that?
I speak to myself loudly. Like, I'm like, Mary, shut up. That's not right. Don't say that to yourself. Like, I have to re-therapize or like parent myself. That's how I do it. I think of it like, if I was a parent to someone like this, what would I tell them? And I'm like, snap out of it. That's not true. Look at the facts. The facts are you do this and that. You've been doing this for a long time. Like, I try to bring in wise mind and reparent in that moment as much as possible.
Why do you think that happens to a lot of people?
When they speak bad to themselves?
Yeah.
Man, I feel like it's the way our brain is programmed. There'll be a bunch of positive things and then one negative thing, we just spiral. I think it's just easier to go into the negative mode, especially if you're raised like that, where you speak negatively to yourself or to others. Your brain has an easier time finding that route than the positive route.
So you got to push back.
Push back. Yeah.
Push back. It's so important to have that like self-love, like not in a selfish way, but to think kindly of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I even changed my name to Selfish Mary like a decade ago, thinking I'm gonna be selfish and take care of myself. It didn't work.
It's more of like realizing that you are
worthy,
you're loved.
Yeah.
And look how much life loves you, where you're blessed to do what you enjoy.
Right.
There's people that are hating their jobs.
And I'm so sorry for them. I'm sending them love.
And they haven't discovered what like really sparks them.
They will, maybe. The Artist's Way is a great book. I've been telling everybody.
Okay.
Julia Cameron.
Okay.
The Artist's Way. It's 12 chapters. Each chapter is a week. You read it. You do the tasks every morning. You're doing morning pages, 3 pages. Doesn't matter what you write about. It unlocks and unblocks that artist within you.
So anybody doesn't matter what you're doing.
Anybody can do it.
And what did you find about like doing those steps?
You know what? A lot of things came out on paper. The morning pages, you're supposed to write 3 pages every morning, right when you wake up.
Okay.
And that inner voice that sometimes is blocked or you can't hear yourself, the true voice, comes out on paper. And you're like, oh my God, I forgot about this. I forgot. And it's just, it starts talking to you, and you like to do this. And in some of the chapters that it asks you to explore, if you had another life, what would you be? Imagine, like, name 5 things you would be if, you had a different road, or like if name 5 things you would do if money was not an object. When you list those things, you're like, oh my gosh, I actually do want to do this. I want to do that. And then you kind of go after it, and it opens up this blocked version of you, I think.
Does it recommend for you to read it every morning of what you wrote?
No, don't read it.
Just write.
Just write. Don't share it with anybody. That's another thing it talks about, is like, a lot of people in our life are just censors and blockers. Like, they'll criticize even if they don't mean it, but that criticism can block you for a long time
because it affects a person's like perspective. It doesn't encourage it.
Yeah.
Have you seen that Steve Harvey video where he's like, he has like these motivational videos? Have you ever watched them?
I watch it sometimes, like especially if it's going viral and stuff. I'll see it.
He has one where he says, he's like, write a list of 300 things that you'd like you're of 300 items. He's like, it has to be 300 items, and pray about it, right? And every morning read that list. And he's like, and watch what God does to you, God does to your life. And you end up seeing how one by one those items on your list get marked off.
Yeah.
His whole purpose is saying like, yeah, it's you gotta like work, you gotta put it in front of you, but also gotta work towards your goals, and you gotta see how like life like kind of will help you in that realm.
And it's easier to work towards goals when the goals are in front of you and you remind yourself every day. That's another thing. Maybe a lot of people will lose sight of that because every day they're not reminding themselves. They're not reading a list. They're not writing a list. So like that's why they kind of forget and go with the monotonous everyday thing, like go to work, do this, do that, and then come home, do it again the next day. I think it is important that we look at some of the stuff that we do want. It helps you for sure to work towards it.
Motivational Mary.
Oh my God. Is that a character?
Yeah.
Motivate. Absolutely. There are moments where I feel like I do motivational speaking.
You do?
Yeah, sometimes. Even as Vartush.
You do. You bring in the comedy. So what's like your number one motivator right now?
That's a good question. Wow. My number one motivator right now is little Mary. I'm doing everything for her. That younger girl that deserved a lot, and she still does. So every morning, Steve Harvey reads his 300 things that he wants. Every morning I speak kindly and encourage a picture of toddler Mary. And I'm like, you're going to do great things. You're already doing, like, that's what I do. That's my motivator, is little Mary.
Okay. I love that.
Thank you.
Yesterday, my guest that was on said a similar thing.
Sweet. See? That's awesome.
She said, how would you speak to your younger self?
Yeah, exactly. Would you tell your younger self mean things that you'd say to yourself now? No, you wouldn't.
And I think she recommended like having a photo of like younger self.
Yeah.
And that's so cool.
Do it. Put it on your phone. Like, I sometimes have it as my background, which it looks kind of weird because people are like, is that a picture of herself on her phone? I'm like, yeah.
That's not weird at all.
No? Okay. Good.
You could switch it.
Yeah, I could switch it. I switched it
if
for
it's
here.
Baby Mary.
It is Baby Mary.
No, it's totally fine.
Yeah, it's Baby Mary.
That's so cute.
Yeah. So I do it for that.
If that's your motivation, let that be something that you're seeing constantly.
That is, yeah.
Oh, wow. That is so cool. My mind is a little blown right now. I hope people really listen to this and are way more kinder to themselves.
I hope so too. They deserve it. Yeah.
Any final words?
Thank you for having me. I feel so blessed and so grateful for everything I'm doing, and for this opportunity, the gift that I have and the career that I have, that I can reach so many people around the world, so many Armenians around the world. That makes me happy and fills my cup. And I'm just very grateful, and I thank everyone for listening, watching, supporting all these years.
Well, thank you for coming. I hope your cup is always full. I look forward to your special. I look forward to many specials.
Thank you.
And thriving in your career, and we'll always be here to support you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mary.